Hello everyone, and welcome back to my tutorial campaign in Realistic Progression 0, the campaign mod for the Realism Overhaul suite of realism mods in Kerbal Space Program. In the last episode, we had a somewhat eventful trip around the moon, I think you could say, in Labrador 13. Lived up to its name. That's about all there is to be said for it. And also the fact that everyone survived, which was nice. So then we tried to launch this meteorological satellite. That also did not go to plan. So in this episode we're going to try a third time. Third time is hopefully the charm. The fact that we've now actually spent more on this than the contract gives is kind of a problem. But I believe that I'm fairly sure I know all of the things that were going wrong. So also let's clean up this launch vehicle a little bit. Oops, because we noticed, of course, that these things were not properly placed. So now they are properly placed. Also, I think, yeah, okay. That's all good. So let's look at our build list. What are we building? All right, nothing of note. So we're going to build one more of these. And now we're going to go ahead and let's save this launch vehicle. Whoa, that was not what I wanted to do. But happily it all came out okay. Staging looks correct. Oops, where is it? It's over here. Scorpion DE4. Right. That's an appealing screen. Very appealing. Alright. Now everything looks acceptable. Right, so let's warp until this is done. It's done. Roll it out. Let's check the map view, see how far we are from the orbit. And oh yes, it's been long enough that we can go back to Owl 3 and I will just hyper-edit the velocity loss from the aerobraking rather than having to force myself or you to watch multiple hours of aerobraking. Right, so where'd that? Guam. Alright, so the Pacific. So we're going to warp until we're just about aligned right. And then it is rolled out, isn't it? Yes, it is. Let's warp until we're really close. Alright, and I think once that yellow dot is right about at the line, I think right about there is right. Okay, let's go fly this thing. now it has listened to my command. And get this back up. Ploop. There we go. Okay, so the issue that we encountered because we were apparently going too fast and we're off prograde. Confusing, but whatever. So let's avoid some of these problems by going to a little higher this time. Does that look right for the orbit? I think we might have... Yeah, no, I think that's a... Well, we... for how... Alright, I think that's about right. So, we are going in 5, 4, 3, 2... Off we go. Roll program. This looks actually almost like an SLBM, just with fins. If it didn't have fins, it would really look like an SLBM. Well, it'd be a little tall for an SLBM, but still. That's interesting. That makes me wonder if the fairings are not protecting things. Maybe that also is why we had such problems. No, that looks correct. Convective flux 0 kilowatts, that's fine. Okay, so they are shielding things properly. Back a little bit. Align with prograde a little bit better. First stage burnout. What on earth is going on with our land? Our land is wrong. Why is our land wrong? So apparently I have to correct that some. Whoa, let's not do that, shall we? RCS to on. Staying mostly aligned prograde. SEP. Mission. good ignition. Alright, now let's go ahead and furnace up, fix our land some, because apparently we weren't quite close enough, I guess. Yeah, that engine is still kind of loud. Let's turn it down a little bit. Alright. And pitch up quite a bit. Stretch out our time to apogee. We're going to have to burn off prograde by quite a bit to get that land back to where it should be. That's not awesome. Yeah, apparently I did launch a little early. Yeah, we actually... Alright, yes, this was definitely too early. So we will have to build up steering losses doing this. We're over there. We need to be over here. So. Alright, I guess we do have to build up a lot of steering losses doing this. That's a shame. Should have just launched right under it and taken my chances rather than trying to guess exactly how far away from it I should launch. Okay. Now we can start straightening out. So for those of you who wanted me to do a dogleg, I'm doing a dogleg. Not on purpose, but I'm doing a dogleg. Alright. Now we turn sharply in the other direction. Start raising our inclination. Because we're getting quite close to alignment. Okay, we focused on the Earth. Let's roll in. Yep. Raise our inclination back on up. That land seems to be lying, which is interesting. Okay, we are now just about perfectly aligned. Our inclination's going right back up. Our steering losses are quite incredible. I hope we'll be okay. All right. And the fact that we have negative vertical speed isn't really going to matter because our apogee is going to be so high. Okay, we are now in quite good alignment. Less than one. All right. Yes, we are now very well aligned. Okay, pitch 0. Why is it going past the desired inclination? Oh, there we are. Now we've aligned. Antenna's out. I trust that we'll have enough delta V to circularize. Maybe we won't. Wow, we will not. That is interesting. That is very interesting. Well, yet another failure. Apparently, this mission is just all about failure because we did not bring enough delta V. Although part of that was because of the steering losses, which were exceptionally high. 300 meters per second of that were probably legit. So we were still about 300 to 400 meters per second short. And let's see how much. Kerosene. Okay, so we boiled off more LOX than... Huh. Yeah, so we're a good 400 plus meters per second short on delta V for this mission. I guess I underestimated just how expensive it is to get into a 9,000 kilometer orbit. Oh well. Oh well. There's really nothing we can do at this point. So let's just ditch that stage. Well, let's spin up the satellite first. Do we even have any? No. Can't even spin up the satellite. Well, dems to brakes. So Meteosat 3 is not in the correct orbit. We're going to go ahead and rename this. To debris. Very well. We've basically just lost about over 10,000 funds on these series of hilarious failures. So let's try one more time. We needed another like 600 plus meters per second. About 600? No, it was 685 left. 300 were from the bad steering losses. So yeah, a 400 meters per second cushion is more what we need. We're at 11,871. One would think that that would be enough. So that gives us rather more delta V. And the final thing we can do is we can overload this tank a bit. 12,273. I am somewhat loath to increase this at all. I mean, I guess we could go up to 7:30. $405, 6280 is correct. And then we fill it further with that. That gained us almost nothing. So we'll stretch out a bit more. And fill. That's too much. We're around there. Still a bit much. Almost there. All right, a full 8 minutes burn time. And I guess this should go back down to 2 minutes and 45 so that we don't suffer such losses. Well, we'll go with 2 minutes 50. Well, yeah, that's fine. All right, Meteosat 4. Let's try this one more time. We now have enough extra delta V that we should be okay. This has been remarkably annoying. At least it's faster to build because we've already built the parts. And we did at least gain data from these launches because, of course, we were somewhat low on data for these engines. And thus far, they've been unflinchingly reliable. Okay. We did at least fulfill the Sounding Rocket High contract. So let's get Sounding Rocket Medium. That will give us a little money. And wow, that's a high orbit. That's a ridiculously high orbit. That's like almost lunar orbital altitude. All right, and let's see how aligned we are. And bring up the oh, it's rolling out. Okay, that's fine. Ooh, we're actually quite close to alignment already. We'll do the final alignment from the pad, I think. That's close enough. Wait, I didn't roll it out? Oh, come on. I clicked, I thought I... Well, I guess we've lost this launch window. Yeah. All right. Well. This really is a cavalcade of errors. And I hit the button too many times. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not doing well right now. All right. Okay, let's see if the other sounding rocket... Oh, good. We do have the other sounding rocket contract. Okay, so we're making up a little bit of the money we're losing doing these things. But man, that's just disgusting. Wait, why did whatever. Literally had to shake my head. Okay. Now we click on the right thing, which is this. We click on the right thing, which is this. All right, if this launch fails, we only have time for one more before we get to Owl's arrival of the various things. All right. Let's see if we can do this correctly this time. So that goes up to there. That stays there. This goes up to 140. Now we are centered on Earth. Align the orbits and get the cape to be just ever so slightly before those lines. Okay, that looks better. Now, minus 90. Engage autopilot at 5, 4, 2, 1, liftoff. A little bit slower liftoff than last time because we overloaded the tanks a bit. Program complete. And I'm going to stay out here to watch how our trajectory develops compared to the orbital track that we desire. And probably I waited a little too long to launch this time. Because you see that's going somewhat south, going somewhat east of south. Barely see what's going on here. Yeah, see right now that track is actually going to the east. because as you can see from orbit view, it's way over there. But it's correcting fairly quickly. So I think we will probably be broadly okay. With the lower liftoff thrust-to-weight ratio and the lower burnout thrust-to-weight ratio, we shouldn't have to worry as much about thermal effects as we did last time. That is, of course, great evidence of why one uses fairings, because had we not had fairings, our probe would have cooked. All right. So we're at 30 seconds to burnout on the first stage. Before I forget, we're going to turn our siesta on, which we can safely do because it's not staged until the next stage. Let's pitch up a little bit, just to keep things more or less aligned properly. Okay, and burnout, stage, ignition on the RD-58, and looking good. Now let's pitch up a good bit more. Let's look at our track. So, okay, so we're passing the... We're a little bit on the wrong side now. So we're going to increase the desired inclination a bit. We can now drop the fairing sides. Okay, we're heading even more sharply to the west to try to correct that issue that we are currently facing of being a little bit to the east of the desired orbital track. And let's pitch up a little bit more, because we've got a long burn ahead of us. We'll come west a little bit more. That will build up some steering losses, but we are fixing up the issue we had. Alright, now they're coming closer in line. So we're actually going to bring it a little bit past 90. Let's pitch down some. I don't think we need to be pitched this high. Alright, that's not unreasonably close. Alright, now let's... Once we get to 91, I think we can pull back from the brink. We're actually quite close, really. Yeah, now we're very close. We're going to line on 90.7, and then we're going to go ahead and head back a little bit once we've realigned a little bit more with that desired trajectory. Alright, now we're almost back in alignment, because we're right here. So I think we can safely start returning to 90. Now we're going to zero out our pitch, try to stay mostly aligned to orbit prograde, because we don't care if our perigee stays fairly low from a high negative vertical velocity at insertion, because we're going to be circularizing at apogee anyway. So who cares? Oh, I'm sorry, that's not actually true. We are going to we do need to make sure we don't actually pass through the. That would be true if vertical velocity were positive. We do need to make sure that we're not going to pass through the atmosphere again. So let's pitch back up here. Okay, I'm feeling comfortable enough that we can leave that view. Go to the prettier view as we pass well past Cuba. Okay, that is quite a... We're going to have to pitch up rather more. Way the heck more. Because we're nearing orbital velocity. We're already nearly at 100 nautical miles, falling from well past that. So... Alright, that's killing that off fairly well. Come back to not quite so elevated. As closer we get to orbital velocity, the more difference this will be making. Let's just verify again from here. Yeah, now we're looking quite closely aligned. We are a little bit to the right of it, but that's okay. Alright, now we can go full on prograde because that is a high enough periapsis. Whoa, did we not pack enough delta V? That's going to annoy me greatly. I could have sworn we had. That's just ridiculous. That's literally beyond ridiculous. How is that even possible? I literally could have sworn that we packed enough delta V this time. Oh, we're over our desired apogee anyway, so that's part of the problem. Let's see how much of each we have left. 302. What do the resources say? 169. Nothing there. Okay. 169 times 0.359 over 1 minus... No, oops. .301. Okay, so we actually have within 1 liter the correct amount of LOX for this burn. So we will get the maximum use we can out of that. We will then go ahead and, oh, you can do this while it's paused. That's awesome. Flip around, fire our retros, and then burn the rest of our RCS and see if that works. Okay, so and then I guess we hope really, really strongly that the contract is fairly lenient. Okay. Now we flip around. And deactivate that. And fire those. And flip around again. Oh, it looks like we may have already completed the contract anyway. Yes! Yes, we did. Even though we weren't quite at the correct orbital altitude. That makes me feel much better. And sounding rocket high and sounding... Okay. That's good. So let's finally finish insertion of the satellite by spinning it up a little bit. We're actually going to wait until we're on the day side so we know where the sun is. Or not on the day side, but just high enough that we're getting sunlight. Alright, it looks like we're correctly oriented, so let's spin up. And decouple. Extend the antennas. Come on. Get the highlighting working again. All right. Okay. And pull this away. Mark it as debris. Okay, that will do. So that is a success at long last. Man, that was a nail biter. That was quite a nail biter, gotta say. So, choices. I guess we go deal with Owl 3 right now. Alright. Owl 3. Here's Owl 3 in orbit of Venus. 11 days. 16, all right. There we are. All right, so let's go ahead and raise periapsis a little bit. I think that's about where the limit is. All right, so we will fix things. We've done enough air braking passes, so in theory, I mean, it's been like 2 months, so we're going to go ahead and warp. I assume that we're getting proper solar panel coverage. Yes, we are. That's plenty of solar power. Okay. Right, now we can warp a little bit closer. Wait a minute. Did we just warp to the wrong side of things? Apparently so. That, or it just warped us through. Alright, well, I'll hyperedit the other way. there. And now let's go ahead and take however much speed it was off from the air braking. Okay. Now we'll set up a, whoops, this should be up here. We want change periapsis at apoapsis, and I think the best we can do is about 6,000 if memory serves. No, worse than that. 5,000. Let's try that. 750. All right, let's try 5,500. Nope, can't do that. 5,200. That is within our capabilities. All right, so let's go ahead and execute that node now. Right, let's, all right, we'll warp to next maneuver. And let's align with the maneuver. Oh, we're spending delta V just literally from turning us around, which is not awesome. I mean, it's expected, obviously, but I didn't expect the rate to be that bad, especially given that we're using the smallest RCS we can, literally. All right, execute. Yeah, see, we have these little tiny jets, but they used up like 2 meters per second performing that turn. Yes, we're aware the altitude is suboptimal, ScanSat. We're doing the best we can. Okay. So, yeah, this is not optimal, but we are going to have to live with it. Come on. Oh, SAS is back on. Great. Let's turn SAS off. Locked. And we want to face the sun. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we are. Now we're getting to face the sun. That is good enough. Auto. Okay. Now we've got good solar panel coverage, got good all this, and it is going to go ahead and get Venus scanned. Okay, so now we have our Mars arrivals. We'll save this for now. And jump to Owl 5. Okay. Now this is going to be a fun little insertion, because we are going to need to do some fancy footwork with this thing. Because we'll go into Rails mode for now. Let's look at Mars. Where is Mars? Mars is here. Wait for reals, we're on the wrong side of Mars with this. Wonderful. Oh no, that actually, rotationally that is the right side of Mars in this case. Alright, very well. So, this is going to be real fun. We have to manage to perform, as soon as we get into the sphere of influence, we need to decouple and perform very slight retrograde kicks from the main spacecraft and then from one of those two little thingies piggybacking, because we need to make sure that the arrivals at periapsis are staggered such that we can capture each in succession, because we don't want to do them all at once. But only the main bus has those two big dish antennas, so the other things can't stray too far away from it. So save this as 1963 0909 Mars arrival. Alright, looks like there's a slight issue with the recording, which I'm trying to sort out. So let's go ahead and remove that alarm, and we're going to warp until we've just passed the sphere of influence limit. Okay. So this is the insertion side. So we're going to warp there. Okay, we are now in the Martian sphere of influence. Alright, our periapsis is preserved, so we're going to want to create a little itty bitty baby maneuver node. after a fixed time, 60 seconds, and we'll change it to 168 kilometers. That is incredibly trivial, but that's as expected. What we're actually we just needed to create that so we'd have a node. So what we actually want is something that will shift our periapsis back in time about 10 minutes, 12 minutes we'll call it. So we want to burn retrograde a little bit and burn radial out a little bit. And that's only a 3-minute difference. How much difference does that give us? That gives us 9 minutes. That gives us 10 minutes. And let's move them back together so the periapsis is about the same. One more meter per second. What happened? Oh, we passed the maneuver node, that's why. Okay, bring this back together. Bingo. That is essentially a 12-minute difference. All right, so let's go ahead and separate things. So there we are. Now we want to extend the antennas on this thing, and we want to extend the antennas on this thing. Great. The solar panels extended on this thing. Solar panels are not bound to an action group on this thing, apparently. Okay, now we've staged sufficiently. This one, how is there oh, that's why. Okay, so now on this thing we need to do our 9-minute burn. RCS is now enabled. Those are the little 28, yeah, they're okay. 45 newtons is a lot of newtons apparently when you mass only 1.591 tons. And we'll start that up right now. All right. So that was a 9 meter per second burn, which implies the other one should be about a 4 meter per second burn. Okay, get alignment. Okay, that will do. That will do. Now, let's go to this one, and it needs to why can I not toggle SAS and Is control locker doing something funny? Alright, yes it was. Okay, so this one we are going to perform a 5 meter per second burn. Yeah, it's worth noting because I had that control locker issue with avionics. I never bother to shut down avionics and then turn them on because they automatically shut down in time warp and automatically turn on when you come out of time warp if you leave them in the active state, and that's all I would ever want. The only times I'd want to shut them down myself, so I just don't bother with that. Alright, we've almost gone retrograde, and they are little cute little Phobos Deimos landers. Never know whether it's Deimos or Deimos. It's Greek, and so I think it'd probably be Deimos, but I'm not sure. Come on, hop up to retrograde. So, yeah, we will perform capture burns with all these things, and they will proceed to land I don't know whether we'll do Phobos or Deimos with these. Alright, so we are now aligned here. Let's create, after a fixed time of 30 seconds, and what we actually want is this, -5, probably that. Okay, and aligned. Whoops. Engines? Why we know has engines? That's odd. That confuses me mightily, because... Oh, that's a bug in real fuels, I think. Alright, well, we'll just do the burn on RCS. And then I'll fix the bug in real fuels before these actually do a capture burn, I guess. Because that thinks feed pressure too low, even though these tanks are highly pressurized tanks. So... Okay, and let's correct our periapsis here. Okay, so that's all set. Periapsis is in 2 days, which means Sparrow 6 is going to enter in 1 day. Which leaves us with this thing as having the earliest periapsis. It's in, well, let's just verify. Know why that node was still there. This is in 25 minutes, and that's in 8 minutes. And the last one is in 29 minutes. Very well. Alright, that all works out. So, now let's go ahead and get to Sparrow 6. Jump to ship. Okay, Sparrow 6 is doesn't actually have to do anything weird. It just has to enter Mars' sphere of influence safely. Oh, whoops. Let's get rid of that. Okay. And let us look closely at Mars and make sure we're still in the correct plane with things. Okay. So we're a little off plane, it looks like. So we want to, that's Phobos. That's the equator. That's periapsis. So, okay. Let's try clear input lock stack. Let's see if that makes, that is not making much of a difference. Alright, let's go towards normal or anti-normal. What is this? This is normal. And we'll try to correct that a little bit. That looks a little better. You don't want to use up too much delta V, but it's okay. No, that's not really helping us much. All right, well, that's about as good as it's going to get. Okay, so, yeah, that should be fine. Let's add periapsis for this, 10 minutes. And yeah, I think that is where I'm going to have to leave it tonight, because I'm going to have to fix that issue in Real Fuels before we can do anything else. Because it would be well beyond tedious to try to capture using those RCS thrusters alone. And there is nothing that I can do in game to actually fix that issue. Because what's going on is, for some reason, it's not detecting parts that are merely surface attached, which it should have done from get connected resources, but apparently is failing to do, which means I'll just have to write my own connected resources for it, which is fine. So yeah, that's where we are right now. So let's just quickly check. Canis Station is in 44 days. So take us to the end of September, the end of October. So in early November, which is ironic because I think when I was playing my Soviet playthrough, I also launched a station for the first time in November. In early November, we're going to launch our first space station. So the capturing at Mars will probably be the next episode, and likely the space station will be the episode after that. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that it was helpful, learned something from it, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.